your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today, zooming in on the concept of narcissistic emotional abuse and the topic of what the psychological community calls narcissistic supply. Now, narcissistic supply is essentially that which the covert or the overt narcissist will surround themselves with in order to gain subsistence, in order to gain satisfaction, in order to gain really a sort of substantiate their ego. And supply can be people, it can be organizations, it can be activities. And I'm zooming in on this because I've received a number of email requests regarding, like, what does it mean to be supply? You know, I've known this person for such and such amount of time, and what exactly is my role to them there, and why am I going through this? So I want to elaborate that on this video. And I also want to advise you that because I've received so many requests through email, that I am now making consultation available to people who need it, who are in a situation where they really just want some more customized and personal attention. I'm absolutely happy to do that. And I just listed that, you know, I can provide you an email consultation if you're comfortable that way. I can provide a video custom consultation for you, sort of, you know, delving into your specific situation, as well as a phone consultation as well. So if you are interested in that, if you need that, if you would like my help, I'm happy to provide that. So just send me your specifics and requirements to my email listed here on the YouTube page. So getting back into this viewer inquiry, like, what essentially is supply, and what exactly role are you providing to them, you know, in your relationship? So supply is essentially a body of people or organizations that the narcissist will surround themselves with in order to basically prop themselves up, to inflate their ego, to substantiate their self-interest. And it's really merely as a surface look rather than a real gut and heart interest. So, for example, narcissists are known to surround themselves with a posse, basically a party of people, be it people of the opposite sex, be it executives, be it religious figures, to encourage, promote a persona, a facade, a fake view that they are all that. In other words, if the narcissist has a specific need to feel attractive to members of the opposite sex, and they want to, you know, have control over members of the opposite sex, if they want to have power over members of the opposite sex, that is their supply. So that is what they're encouraging. That is what they attempt to secure each and every day. Just like, you know, you and I might enter into our work and we're, you know, fulfilling our work obligations, etc., you know, and with a humanity reason, the narcissist does not have that same ambition. They have a drive, an incessant drive, what Sam Vatkin calls an insatiable desire. Almost like the way an alcoholic feels about alcohol. They really essentially have no control over their drive. And that is really the fundamental important point that you really need to understand. And it's also what leads into the dangerous behaviors, the pathological lying, the cheating on people, the control of others through negative emotions such as fear, guilt, obligation. So they obtain this supply. So getting back to our example, the narcissist who wants to have control and power, and they want to, you know, boost this up in their source of supply. So they'll surround themselves. They'll, you know, enter into an organization and really start to, you know, zone in on those people who they can surround themselves with, who will give them that clout, who will give them that persona, who will give them that facade. So rather than developing the relations organically, rather than, you know, developing relations from a heart center and from from a sense of modesty and humility and humbleness, and really a balanced perspective, they're going to seek out those people who can serve as a facade, a member of their supply posse, if you will, meaning a group of people, a posse, a party, if you will. So even though they don't care about these types of people, even though they might look down on them and fear them as inferior, because really the narcissist feels if they can control you and they can obtain you as a source of supply, that essentially, you're less than them. So this is just really the train of the disordered thinking that these people engage in day in and day out. So it's very important to understand that. But yes, the supply, the people, the relationships, as I'm getting back to my viewer's question here, is that yes, they tend to objectify people, meaning rather than treating them as people, they treat them as objects, which is, devoid of a human quality. So it's just like, imagine that if you needed, a lot of tables, you would go and secure a supply of tables for your whatever it is you needed to fulfill. And here I go with my analogies again. So the narcissist, needs to present a certain facade that they are attractive or powerful or controlling of members of the opposite sex. So then they will have these various members, in their supply group, and then, wield these around and pivot them against one another, which is a tool that they definitely engage in called splitting. That's a whole nother video. They will then pivot these people, pivot them around in order to position one and jockey up another, in order to create this sort of revolving supply source, and then pit one against the other, if they can do that through verbal means or jealousy, all those sort of promoting an insecurity feeling within their supply sources, if they're aware of each other, or they'll call on them if and just reference them if they're thinking of ditching you. So it's really a sort of bombastic situation that can occur. So yes, supply can be basically people which they are absorbing or extracting. It's a harsh word. You can't really make light of it, because they will do this to people for years. They'll extract really whatever they need from them, whether it's an outlet to unleash their aggression, whether it's to pick on them, whether it's just to have someone underneath them. It's like as a punching bag. That is essentially what the narcissist will do, and that term is called supply. So I hope that clarifies what supply is and the role, and then how basically victims, people who are victimized, exploited, are in this position for them, rather than as a real true relationship. It's more of a narcissist supply relationship. And that is essentially the dynamic, and that is what can be so abusive, hurtful, and confusing. Peace and harmony with you here today. I hope these videos do help. Please help those in need, and please share, please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussions, and support.